interesting title with this one. Um, but yeah, you might think it has to do with animals, but not so much. There is an animal or two in it, but it is not about that, and not a predator film, but it is Silence of the Prey, um, which, after everything concludes, you kind of see, kind of an interesting title there. I like it anyway, but what is it about? Actually, let's see. In a desperate bid to secure a future for her child, an undocumented immigrant mother takes a caretaker job. Unbeknownst to her, the elderly man conceals a horrifying truth. Okay. Um, I guess, well, let's, cover the usual bases. New film just came out. I believe it is available in a few places and probably a little bit more here soon. I was also sent a screener for this one, so there's that. And since it is a new film, I will try to keep this as spoiler free as possible for you guys. Um, I as I read that, and I'll tell you that I didn't read that before, and I just kind of watched the movie not knowing too much about it. Um, it will become kind of fairly clear as this movie goes on, and definitely if you read that, and now if you're watching this review and haven't seen the movie, you're going to know that um, this is a horror film that's made, and I did not do any extra reading here, but this is just what my thoughts are. As reading that, watching the film, and so forth. Definitely a horror film that's kind of playing off the huge political topic that's in our country now, and I know that it's in other countries too. I know we think that it's only here that we have an immigration problem, but that problem happens in a lot of places too. So um, this movie definitely combines that hot topic political issue and a horror movie, and it is a combination too. And I don't think some of the horror movies, when they do that, they're making a lot of statements and so forth. I think obviously making the film is a statement, but I don't think the characters don't push too much of the statement through. I think it's more of just watching the film and watching what happens, and how the characters are and characters are treated and so forth. There are going to be definitely times where it is going to be a little bit more fairly obvious than others. Since this is a new film and kind of a new idea, I roll with it. I let it be and see what's going on. I know I've expressed complaints in a few remakes of films that we know and like or whatever. They've also taken time in those films to kind of push an agenda or a topic and whatever, and that fairly pisses me off. But here, since this kind of is a original film and kind of and so forth, you can appreciate more of a feeling that it's not forced, and definitely the movie is built around this topic. So um, there's that, and if it's a sensitive topic to you or whatever, maybe that might come into you liking, not liking this movie, or just maybe find it more interesting. Or if you just don't care overall and just are into the horror of it, maybe you like that. And there is horror of it. So, this is not just, before you guys get scared, turn this off and like, I'm not watching this movie because of that. No, there's plenty of horror in this movie, and definitely in the back half of this film. There's plenty of horror in this movie, so don't worry about that. It is not all just about this topic, but definitely that's kind of where this film is built from. So, yeah, early on, you're going to see this woman who's, you know, fairly new to the United States, fairly new and kind of adapting, and she, via a friend or so-called friend, kind of gets placed in this home with this old man, and it seems like an awkward situation to even begin, and he's out obviously, and this is in the middle of nowhere because of course the best place for this in the middle of nowhere, and he has a home and a decent sized property here, and she's there with her young daughter, and to kind of help him out, to kind of serve him in a way. And this obviously, as you see, this kind of opens the door for a lot of things. And he's a kind of creepy old man, and not super old, but he's an older gentleman. And he's definitely, sometimes he's kind of just like regular and kind of okay, and then he does have a temper to him. So he definitely makes himself hard to read, as the movie kind of goes on. And, is he really a good guy and trying to help her? Is he up to something else? Early on, they're definitely going to play that maybe he's up to something else and there's something else going on here. And obviously, you'd hope so because that's the horror of the film. But you're kind of wondering, what he's going to do with her, what she's really doing there, what is happening. She's doing small house things, cooking, cleaning. Obviously, he was a little suspect for having the little girl there, but she ensures that hey, nothing's gonna happen to the little girl, and she does a fairly good job of kind of balancing, watching the girl and doing what, he wants done in the house. But as, it starts to kind of trek on, like I said, you're going to see him do some odd stuff and wonder, what's going on there. Like I said, he's a little short-tempered, so at times he does get angry with her. So you're wondering, what, is he going to flip now? What is happening with that. And then the longer the woman is there, she starts seeing stuff. She's, remember the situation she is. She has a young daughter, unfamiliar situation. She's with this old man that she's, still trying to read and figure out. And she obviously doesn't want to do anything to harm her status there. So, she starts to see some weird stuff. And the more that the movie kind of starts going on, she sees some stuff that maybe other people doesn't see, and maybe stuff that starts kind of eating at her, and she's like wondering, what is happening here. Is she just seeing it? Is it a fact of her being in an unfamiliar setting, or is something else happening here? Soon enough, there's going to be another gentleman who comes into the picture. Apparently his car breaks down and he kind of scares her, and it is kind of odd, but I guess they needed to introduce a third wheel to kind of this equation. It's definitely an odd sequence there of kind of introducing him, because he kind of scares her, goes away, comes back, has a confrontation, but ultimately ends up there, and he's obviously more relatable to her in a way. And I'll, I don't want to get into too much specifics, but, he kind of hits it off a little bit with her. So now you have a third person who's there for a short time, that's kind of involved here. So you have this old man, a third wheel, and now this woman, along with the child in this house. And then soon enough, the evil, the horror of this movie is kind of set in, and you're going to find out more and more. The old man is going to introduce some of his friends to the thing. He kind of has this dinner party, and once that dinner party happens, that is really when this movie's going to kind of really start unfolding the craziness. And I will say that it definitely went a wild direction, and so forth. I don't think as you're watching this, obviously, like I've kind of already hinted at, and I don't think it's really a spoiler once you start watching it. The old man obviously has something going on, and, they kind of hint that really early on. So you're going to find out what he's up to, what is going on there. And then you're going to see basically this woman kind of battle to stay alive, stay there, and make herself out of whatever this situation. I'm being very vague. I don't want to tell you the situation. I want you guys to see that. But is she going to be able to come through with it and remind you all that she has to do it and keep a young daughter safe. So yeah, it is going to get a little bit bloody, a little bit crazy, and depending, even it may spark, and obviously the movie's intended to spark some feelings about immigration and so forth. Like I said, they don't. There's not too many. They don't overdo it and just like dram it, stick it down your throat, every 5 minutes and give a speech about it or whatever. There is a moment here, there. Part of what's going on here is also going to be part of that and be part of the immigrant story. And basically, you see a fight between basically immigrant and person who lives here and fight to stay here, fight to live, and so forth. So there's definitely that. It was interesting, it's an interesting combination, interesting way to do it. And like I said, I thought what they did is they went down that line in a way to keep horror fans entertained, to give you guys definitely something. Like I said, it is going to get bloody. There's going to be definitely some horror scenes that you can relate to. And so forth. It is going to, the action is going to pick up late in the film. It's going to give you a creepy old man who you're always going to be, looking suspect at. You're going to feel for the woman, or hopefully you do. Again, maybe your stance, whatever side of the fence you fall on the immigration thing, that may play a role in maybe you picking a side here in this movie. Maybe you have certain thoughts about that, and then maybe they'll be sparked as this movie goes on. So, lots going on there, lots to think about as this film. Or you could just, say, hey, I'm a horror fan. I don't really give a rat's ass about anything. I'm just gonna watch this as a horror fan. And I think once you get to the horror of it, not that we might not have seen this kind of situation in other horror movies. Definitely there's some familiarity there with what happens, and you're not. I'm not gonna say it's totally original, and we haven't seen anything like this before. We certainly have, but the horror is gonna be there for you guys to watch. So. You don't have to worry about that. It is going to be there. There's going to be blood. There's going to be plenty of action going on here towards the back end of this movie. And definitely give you, a familiar kind of creepy face. I've seen it now. I guess Mask and so forth. I'll say that. So I've seen it in several things now, and I guess it's popular to kind of use this mask. Something else I'm watching on Netflix now. They use a very similar thing to what is used in this movie, and I think I've seen it in one or two other movies recently too. So whatever, I guess it's a thing to bring this mask back or so forth, whatever. It is creepy nonetheless, and well used. But yeah, so it's going to be a lot to unpack, a lot for you guys to see there, and but I encourage you not to get kind of thrown off by the issue at hand and the politicalness, and to give this movie a chance and to watch it. So I'm gonna give it 3 pools of blood. I enjoyed it enough. I thought it is good, interesting way that they combined everything there, and it didn't overwhelm you with it. Gave you a horror movie, but still able to get their points by, give you a little food for thought. And blood, because you know that I like the blood too. So with that, so that's 3 pools of blood out of 5 for this one. And you definitely, it says Silence of the Prey. You can kind of make your judgment on who the prey, maybe at the beginning, maybe at the end, sometimes or whatever. I like the name and how you see everything here. So with that, again, 3 pools of blood out of 5. Horror Score Reviews. .blogspot.com is where you can find all my reviews, written and video, and obviously more video of late for a long time now. So definitely, if you want to subscribe, like, do all those things that everybody wants to do. If not, no worries, it is okay. I'll forgive you, but I thank you anyway for tuning in to this review. And Twitter, Facebook information down below as well, so feel free to join the conversation there, follow, like, all that kind of stuff. If not, again, no worries. And definitely in the comment section, once you see this film, anything you want to say about it. Did you like it? Did you think that they bridged a good combination there of political issue with horror or not? Or did that bother you or so forth? So all of that good stuff, and I guess I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.